town's not gonna move anything.
No, we're not
Okay.
moving trailers for anybody,
Okay.
but they will have to, come up with an emergency plan of some kind of this. That,
I think actually what I can remember reading the floodplain ordinance, well over a year ago, is that, under the floodplain ordinance, provisions have to be made by the property owner for the moving of those trailers. That gets actually spelled out in it, though I do not have ready access
I believe
to
it is,
that
that's
ordinance
right.
right now.
The reason I made that suggestion was that I felt it was appropriate to hold both the landlord or the camp owner, whatever, as well as the owner of the unit itself, liable for that. And in written agreement with the town that one or the other will do it. That was the purpose of me putting that in there. Because there has been an issue raised, and I felt that was the best and most protective way with regard to the town. But no, the town is not agreeing to move anything. They're demanding, as part of this, that those two people, or groups of people, the owners of the land and the owners.
They better not go on vacation at the same time.
Well,
Right.
You know, for instance.
a trailer going through somebody's house would
Or
certainly
there's
have put a big
contract with somebody
liability
else
on
that
somebody.
Or have contracted with a third party that
Yeah.
would,
Sure.
stand, liable for that in the.
I think the idea of putting the town in was so they could enforce if necessary. Right?
Correct.
But I just don't see the town taking on this trade.
No, we certainly wouldn't be doing that, no.
No.
Is that the only discussion with regard to number one item, campgrounds? Then can we discuss item number two with regard to the privately owned lots? And there's a couple of caveats there, at least one in particular that we have discussed is that on a particular lot, any address will have one residence. It may be a house now, it could be an apartment house, or it could be a single RV.
The only exception would be if active or a campground.
If we designate it a campground.
Example would be Tankersley or, whatever Randy may be known as the old Bucko.
But I think that's combining one and two, Norris, and I think they need to remain separate.
Well, everything is a case-by-case basis, and,
Well, and that's true,
but,
but,
whenever you're trying to make a generic statement, having with the preclusion of what might be identified as a campground, certain number of, units, the address, you're gonna have, whether you got the individual site addresses or what, that's the story that, hasn't even been discussed or thought about in my mind. Or at least nobody has put anything to me, regarding that. Because this particular scenario not only applies to allowing the setup as such, but how you're gonna monitor it as far as any water or sewage collection.
and that's another reason that you get into a whole other operational, maintenance type issue. If we had a lot that had 6 trailers on it, that's going to be a nightmare in itself. And I don't really believe it would be cost feasible for, individual landowners, lot owners, to do this, knowing that it is going to be for a short period of time. And, it's $850 per site up front, $500 for the water meter, $350 for the sewer connection. So, I don't know that a person would find that feasible to talk about 6 or 8 campers on a lot that's going to go away. These lots already have 1 water meter and 1 sewer connection. So logically, that, you know, that 1 unit, I think, would be appropriate for a single lot.
1 meter per lot.
Per address, yes.
And then how many users there are?
Per address, yes.
And I got a question. What if a person owned like 5, 6 lots in the town? You have 1 house, it sits on 1 lot, so you still have 4 additional?
That's
Would that be?
yeah, that's a separate lot, that's a separate scenario, yeah. If you had a lot on First Avenue, a lot on Second Avenue, a lot on Third Avenue,
Right.
those are still 3 privately held lots that would accommodate 3 RVs, the way I am seeing it. And this is all,
Right.
trying to be put together right now, but that seems more reasonable. And having said that, here's something else, that from the local citizen's point of view, here's where we're talking about cleaned up lots, but this is where we really get down in the weeds, okay? Because most of the residential areas, here's where the pushback and all the negative calls is, that I had a call today, that an individual wants 6 campers on 1 lot, which is a half a block beyond what we've already designated as our commercial zone. So you can figure it out. I'm not going to expose that person now, but, those are where we have, real issues. Yes.
I mean, I'm not, I'm not real well versed in it, but I believe when you come up with 2 campers, and you need to read
And I think you're gonna know
You
where you're
become
going.
a
Yes,
campground.
that's right. And there's.
that really clears up a lot of this.
It
mess,
really
because
does.
When you become
That's
a
true, too.
campground, then you gotta follow public health, and they're the ones that permit it.
And I appreciate you reminding me of that,
So,
because that's exactly
if
right.
you can put, if there's a lot big enough to put 6 on, that's a big lot, because then you fall into all the things you talked about.
Because the square footage becomes a factor, and that's why I
And,
think.
and there's other restrictions for the campground too.
Are you hearing all of that, Norris?
Different offsets
Well,
and everything, so.
and have hearing it, you know, the various sizes of lots within the town. The town will have to establish a minimum size lot to accommodate this. You can't just use the word lot, because that gets misconstrued. A lot which will, shall we say, accommodate 1 mobile home. Now, whether that lot is larger than that,
But
doesn't make any difference.
Brian has brought to, memory, or to the forefront, that, according to definition, 2 campsites, RV sites, can be designated an RV lot. And so there's the reason for remaining at 1 RV on a vacant lot. Because we don't, say it again?
Where does his information come from? Where is that from?
That's the DNR information.
Oklahoma County Health Department, I mean, I'm just trying to recall it, but
Okay. The health department, Bob, that's.
DNR.
DNR, okay, that's where theirs came from also then. So I think that I would like to see us remain at the 1 RV, allow it to be open for a privately owned lot, but restricted to 1. RV on that lot per address because of these restrictions that we're talking about. Is there any other discussion with regard to that before we finish item number 3?
As written, I think that it pretty well covers what we're generally talking of, other than making sure that we don't have people who have what we would refer to as half lots in town, being able to put something on the half lot.
believe so, yes.
Okay.
You
So,
subdivided a lot.
landowner, so if you designate what the lot size is going to be as an identifiable unit, then you're okay. I would not just use the word lot. Say a lot with a minimum square footage.
Mr. Martin, can you word that in?
That's why I worded it per residence address.
Okay. But he's saying that, that individual could in fact go to the courthouse and subdivide that lot and be assigned a separate address.
Definitely 911. But
I don't think that that's gonna happen.
I don't think it's gonna happen a lot, that's for sure.
you need the lot size is going to dictate.
I don't see a lot of campers on single lots in town. I just don't see it. I don't see a lot of them happening.
Nelson, go, yes?
I have a building that's on 2 lots. So if I demolished it, I can use those 2 lots as separate. And then I have this other building
Is
that
it one address?
is one address,
Then you
but
would
it's
have
on
to
2
jump
city
through those
lots.
other, you would have to jump through those other hoops then.
Okay, so you
I'm saying.
are going the direction of the address.
Well, yeah, that's something I would not want to see you do, but it sounds like we are headed in that direction with this.
Now,
If a person wanted to tear down their present property and do that,
well, I'm
for
just
2
assuming that
years.
there's other places in
Yeah.
town that have double lots that had one address.
Yeah.
Now, they have a different property that it was split, it was 1 lot, and now it's split into 2 separate addresses, 911 addresses.
I think that
I
what
have
we're
one of
coming up
those.
with would accommodate that.
I have one of those properties that, borders a street and a lane. And, so I have a street address on the house. The back half of the property borders a lane, and if I subdivided my property, which the county will allow me to do, and I wrote a separate deed, I would now have an empty lot in my backyard. And then that means I can do something with that.
Have to meet certain size
Certain
requirements.
sign, and with setbacks and so forth also, that's right.
And I do feel that my backyard is, meets the 2,100 square foot and, 10-foot setbacks. I could very easily, put any structure, including a 3-car garage, on that empty lot.
Yeah. There you go, that can happen. I think it's time that we finish up the one that's near and dear to my heart is item number 3. I think that it can accomplish something that, that's what sent me down this path, really. We've had some of these properties, I've been around since 1980 in this town, 79, 80, and some of these structures have finished falling down since I've been in town. And most of you know where they are. There is little or no incentive at present time for a property owner to spend a great deal of money trying to clean up some of these properties. In fact, it costs them more, and they have known it, or most of them would have done it already. It costs more than what maybe the property is worth. But we have a window of opportunity here that, I don't even want to debate. Somebody far smarter than I am made these deciding decisions before most of us even knew about what was going on. But here comes a $5.5 billion project through our area. And with regard to item number 3, these lots with dilapidated structures, some folks are still living in those dilapidated structures without utilities. Some don't have windows or doors. Some folks have been moved out of like structure, and they end up in another like